Good day, doodlers. Welcome to Draw Cartoons. Bugs Bunny is back, and so am I. The new movie, Space Jam: A New Legacy, seems to have rated okay, but what can you really expect from a sequel anyway? I haven't actually seen it myself, but given my penchant for all things animation, I'm probably gonna see it at some point. Today's tutorial will drop hints about drawing cartoon characters in general, so if you skip to the end, you're gonna miss all the juiciest bits, so don't be a skipper. If you do end up enjoying today's tutorial or you find it useful, I would really appreciate a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more tutorials just like this one. With that, let's hop to it. So we're going to start by drawing a circle for the head, just like I usually like to do, because honestly you can start drawing almost any character with a circle. Bugs Bunny is no different, but notice, as you can see in the example below, this circle doesn't encompass his whole head. This is actually just the top of his head. So what you might want to do here is draw a couple more circles either side of the head. You've got one kind of hanging off. It's smaller, right? It's smaller than the first circle that we did. And it's hanging off at the kind of diagonal end of it, the bottom right down here. And you've got another circle on this end. And these are basically going to be his cheeks. Keep in mind, by the way, he's facing this way. He's facing this way, okay? So don't make these symmetrical. And what you might want to do is just stop drawing this circle when you get to here to prevent yourself from fooling yourself. What might also help is if you draw a little line down the first circle that we drew here as the kind of half of his face. So his nose is going to be coming out here, you know. So that's the halfway point of his face if you were to kind of like, you know, imagine a line down the middle of it, a vertical line. So try your best to picture him pointing this way in this particular pose. I think the best place to start here is the nose. The nose is just kind of hanging off this middle circle and poking a little bit to the left over here. And because we've started with the nose, it gives us a central point of the face to kind of work from now. Now, the top lips are just kind of like, imagine the number 3, but someone's kind of turned it on its side. And you just kind of draw that underneath the nose and make sure it's wide enough to go a bit further to the side of the nose this way and a bit further that way. So you end up with this nice kind of 3 shaped underneath. He's looking very smug at the moment, but we've got a lot more to draw here. So I'm going to draw his front teeth, his very characteristic rabbit buck teeth, just kind of sticking out at the bottom, and don't forget that line down the middle of them to separate it to show that it is indeed 2 teeth that's going on there. Now, his mouth is a bit weird, and you're going to have to overlap a bit of your guidelines that you've drawn here, these circles, just because, well, that's kind of common practice in anything you draw. But it just kind of rides along the bottom of that circle. Doesn't matter if you're, you know, if you're working up here, working down here. It doesn't really matter too much. Just try your best to kind of work it in and keep it close to the mouth, because what you need to do next is draw the bottom lip, and you might want to do it in lots of small strokes like I'm doing, and you want to join it up to about here, okay? So you come out from underneath these teeth, you go down a bit, but then you swing it back up to the mouth there before you reach that circle, okay? So that's probably one of the hardest parts of this done, is getting that mouth right, because it is not easy. He looks like a really simple cartoon character, but he's not. I've just drawn a couple of curves in there for the tongue, and now it's also probably a good time to draw the bottom lip. It comes down and it's the lowest part of the face before you get to like the neck. And here you can start bringing in these circles either side of the center of the head. Just join it all up, basically. Just kind of make sure it maps up to that bottom lip there. It's all got to join up. And to help you visualize these as his cheeks, you might want to add some little spikes of fur coming off, because that's what his design does actually have. So I'm going to add those myself as well. So the bottom half of his face is now done. That was quite quick, but admittedly not too painless. Actually, we have missed a little bit of his mouth here. There we go. It's like, imagine like a little, I don't know if you've played Horizon Zero Dawn, but it looks a little bit like those long-necked kind of robots. I think they're literally called long necks. But anyway, just a very, very small one poking out there and showing his cheek smiling like that. So now his eye, his nearest eye, is pretty much in the exact center of this half of this circle. So don't think about this half. Just think about this half right now. And you want to be picturing his eye as taking up the entire middle of this. Now it's not going to be, it doesn't matter if you're exact here, again, just so long as you're kind of in the ballpark. We want to go for this shape here where it's quite tall and you've got this crease at the top, because we're going for this eyebrow shape where he's, he looks very confident, almost like he's taunting his basketball opponent or something. I don't really know what he's going for in this pose, but I am following the official artwork here, and I quite liked the expression, so I thought, hey, let's draw that one. So what I've done here is I've drawn a small line across for the eyelid. It's about 3/4 of the way down this eye, so it's pretty closed, which expresses a lot of confidence, and his pupil is just on the right side here. You can make that bigger if you want, you can make it smaller if you want to express a different emotion, but again, I'm following what the official artwork shows me. Now to help us draw this eye, you might want to draw a small notch here across, joining that side of the circle and the center line that you drew if you did choose to draw that. But it's just a small line that goes from left to right here, and it just shows where the nose ends and where the eye begins. So coming from this, we again try and keep it the same height as the eye that we drew a moment ago, and you want to come up and down a little bit outside of the circle that you drew here, and then a line at the bottom just to kind of show us that is the bottom of the eye. I'm going to draw another line across again, try and keep it symmetrical if you can, otherwise your character is going to look a little bit wonky. Nothing really wrong with that, but if you're not going for wonky, then yeah, you might want to avoid that. And then we're just going to bridge these together with a diagonal line that comes in and touches the eyelid that we drew. Now to make things a little bit easier, you may want to get your eraser and just tickle away this part of the guideline if you want to. You don't have to get rid of that right now. I'm only doing that for the sake of clarity because of what comes next. So what comes next is we're just going to draw an arch over the eyelid like this, and again try and keep it level with the other eye, okay, the other eyebrow I should say. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, but try and keep that fairly even, otherwise again it's going to look a little bit wonky. I'm going to bridge these together again as well, so we have that nice symmetry going on here. Despite him looking this way, it's still important that we have a sense of symmetry in the character's face. So we're actually almost done here, and what I think is better to do, you might want to bring up the back of the head here just outside of the guideline and curve it in to draw 3 little tufts of hair, 3 little almost like clawed fingers, I guess, kind of reaching out, and then that just bridges across to the back of the eyebrow there. A bit easier said than done, but give it a few tries and you'll nail that. You just want this line here and 3 tufts for the hair. That's a very common design in cartoon characters, especially anthropomorphic ones who don't have much, actual hair like this or something like that, or like Shaggy, for example, from Scooby-Doo wouldn't have this because he's a human, so they go overboard with the hair and draw lots of it. But with an animal character like Loony Tunes, they quite often just have this small tuft there. So there's a little kind of general cartoon tip for you, especially for very old school cartoons. So this ear, you want to start by coming out and then going right up, and you need, like I said on the prompt at the bottom of the screen, make sure you left lots of room above your head drawing, because Bugs' ears do not mess around. They are enormous. As a matter of fact, they're probably tall. If you were to put his head alone, not including his ears obviously, in a box, they're probably taller or as tall as his head if you were trying to picture those in a box as well. So they take up a lot of space. So the inside of this ear is fairly simple. Just kind of follow the shape that you've done. Leave an equal amount of space. If you know what I mean, I'll show you what I mean in a minute rather. Leave an equal amount of space along here. Try and picture that as being like the same width all the way along, and the same for that side as well. Before you draw the pink bit in the middle, and you're going to need to keep that in mind again as you go over here. You start halfway up the ear that you just drew. You come up, you leave a nice curve at the end, and you bring it all the way down, and you want to bring it so that the ear ends near his head, just like that. Okay, and again you're going to need to draw this line for the inner ear. This one you don't have to stick to that rule about keeping them equal quite as much, because this ear is at more of an angle, so we would see a bit more of this part of the outer ear than we would see of this side, so to speak. If you're wondering what I'm talking about here, have a look at an actual real life rabbit, like a picture of them on the internet, and you'll see, their ears are always going in different directions, and you would see more of the inner ear on this side if the ear is pointing this way. Real life reference pictures can be very helpful even in cartoons. So we're only missing one last finishing touch, and that is his whiskers. You can kind of go to town here. They're very, very long, but try and make sure that they're all coming from that upper lip bit that we drew near the start of the tutorial. Matter of fact, I've not drawn those 3 whiskers long enough. I'm going to go way longer than that. There we go. That's more like it. And there we go, our drawing of Bugs Bunny is already done. I'm pretty happy with that myself. I'm gonna go over it, get it all finalized. You can feel free to do the same if you want to, but either way, I'll see you guys in a second. And there he is, so anytime you want to ask someone what's up, Doc, you can actually accompany that with a drawing if you want to. I'm not really sure who came up with the idea of putting Bugs Bunny in a movie with a basketball legend, but back in 1996, it really paid off. So, good job, whoever you are. Anyway guys, that's it for today. If you haven't already joined the Discord, we have a server dedicated to sharing your artwork and art tips and just kind of chatting and hanging out. So if you haven't already joined, there is a link in the description below. Hit that to become a member today. Also, just in case you forgot, I would love it if you liked this video. It really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and all that good stuff. And consider subscribing to the channel for tutorials just like this one in the future. Until next time.